So Workday Studio basically outside of Workday. I mean, it's an object which is outside of Workday. It's not a Workday developed object. It's basically works on Java Eclipse. And yeah, so it's outside Workday, but then it's a very good object to interact with Workday. So when you will go for Workday Studio is, say in case you need to get data from multiple business objects, right? In that case, it can't be I mean, that requirement can be fulfilled using the EIB or core connector, right? So in case if you need multiple extractions and multiple transformations, multiple files, so in that case we will be going for Workday Studio. So Workday Studio is a very powerful tool. I mean, there are a lot of limitations with the EIB and core connector, but with Studio you can overcome all those limitations. This is a very powerful tool, and you can do anything using the Studio. So any questions as till now?
I have a small question because
Sure.
it's a very basic question because I'm just starting with Workday. So, is it a part of Workday? I mean, it's one of the module of Workday itself, or is it a separate application which we need to install on our desktop? I don't know.
Yes, so it won't come with the tenant. Actually, if you see the other objects, right, whether it is a report or EIB or the core connectors, they come inside the tenant. You can go and you can use a specific task to leverage them, right? But Studio is something which is outside Workday. So you can go to the Workday community. You can download it's a freeware, so you can download from the community and you can install it. So it's always sits outside your Workday. It's like another separate application.
And to be a part of this community, I need to be a employer of the partner, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay.
But anyhow, it's a freeware. You can, if you anyways, you should have a tenant access to get the connectivity, right? So once you install the Studio, then you have to get connected to a particular tenant. Then only you can either extract or input the data.
Tenant access normally the coordinator would arrange.
Yeah. So you can use the same instance. You can connect to that particular tenant from Studio, and then you can start interacting with the tenant.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm not a part of community, so during the training you can send a setup because the freeware, right? So
Yes, I can, yes, which I can provide you all those softwares. So
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to know like a few things, Arun. So
yeah,
when
sure.
we join like in a client, so what are the basic things we do? Like we are going to install the Workday by ourselves, or like the client will install something?
So you're asking about the Workday itself, the whole Workday itself, right?
No, I'm asking particularly for the Workday Studio.
Okay, Workday Studio.
So you said like it's an external application which is not in the tenant, right? So,
yes.
so are we going to like download, do something? Do need some?
When you join your client.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I mean I'm not sure in that case because the people who have community access can only download that. I'm not sure. Maybe they would have got license just for that. I'm not sure about non-partners.
Okay.
Krishna.
Yeah. So generally, like Workday Studio will be like connected with only with the sandbox or like production tenant, or we can connect with the implementation tenant also.
Yeah, I mean you can connect to any tenant, implementation tenant, sandbox and production. Any tenant, whatever you want, you can connect to.
Okay.
Just that you have to set your connection details, and then if you have the username and password for that particular instance, you can connect to any instance that your company has.
So generally, like most of the so you have like experience, right? So I don't have any experience in the Workday Studio. So generally, how the client will do this Workday integration, like whether they will do in the sandbox or in product sandbox or in implementation, right?
So it depends. Like say they normally the clients will have at least I mean three tenants, minimum three tenants. One will be implementation tenant, and another one be sandbox, and another one is the production, right? So based on their budget, they can buy any number of instances they want. One of my client almost had 11 implementation tenants, because they will be it's basically for functional implementation, right? So they call like p0, p1 and p2 and etc. So p0, say they are loading the basic configuration data. So they will have a gms tenant separately. So p1 can be a next version of gms, I mean not the gms data, but then the company data, but which very basic setup. So say in the next tenant, say they are going live with another thing. Say they are going with compensation next tenant. So it's like their decision. Sometimes they will go country by country, region by region. Say P1 will have all the data related to US. Say P2 will have all data related to UK. So based on your integration, you can connect to whatever the tenant you want. Say I want to test only the data related to US people, then I can connect to P1. But integration side, mostly we will connect to the tenant which has all the data. Like say P5 has all the data, then I will connect to P5, because P1 may have only US specific data, P2 will have only UK specific data. I mean, so the instance mainly depends on the functional thing, right? So that's how they phase out the implementation. So it's a functional decision to decide on like which tenant should have which data. So as far as the integration folks are concerned, we will always interact with the tenant which will have all the data, like of all the countries, because integration will be mostly, I mean, global integrations will not be country specific. But in case if it is country specific, obviously you can connect to that specific instance which have the data of that particular country.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So any other basic doubts that you have?
Maybe
Arun,
I have some questions, but maybe it will be covered in class.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
Arun, you can
Vijay,
take over the course content.
okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Just like let's explain like what are the things we are going to don't go in depth. Just take like what are the course content we are going to cover. There are some 20 topics, right? Just read
Yeah,
out
sure.
and all the things we are going to cover.
Okay, fine. Yes. Okay, so let's go start with the course details. So again, we will see a brief introduction of Workday Studio, and then Workday Studio navigation, how to navigate inside the studio, and what are the platforms that are available. And we have a web service tester. I mean, instead of if you so first of all, the basic thing that we use, I mean the most core thing that we use in Workday Studio is web service, because obviously it's the import, right? So if you create a report with all active and terminated workers, the underlying web service will be get worker. So that applies to Studio as well. So you will be selecting particular web service. So in case if you want to, if you have confusion like whether this web service will work or that web service will work, you can easily test it using web service tester. So assemblies. Assemblies is the area where we will be including all the components, and we will starting our build. And so creating assembly projects, So creating assembly projects in the sense, assembly is a collection of various Java objects, and so when you create, Studio creates it for you. Just you have to create the name. You have to just give the name and the the basic details. I mean, all the objects related to assembly will be created by Studio itself. So message flow through assemblies, and overview of assembly components. We have a lot of components in Studio, so we'll be going over those. And scalability. This is one important feature of Workday Studio. And then Workday public web services. So yeah, like I said, there are a lot of web services. Each I mean um, related to each module, there are a lot of web services. So there is I think it should be available to public users. Let me check that. There is a URL where you can go through module by module, and then each module, if you click, it will give you all the web services. I mean, yeah, operations that are present under the web service. Say I have human resource web service, so inside that you will have get workers, put workers, I mean, a lot of web services are there, operations are there. So I will check if that is available for public users. So if it is that case, I can just give you that URL. You can just go through and get a basic idea of like what are all the web services that are available. And again, yes, Workday Studio Web Service Tester, it's repeated. Calling a Workday Web Service operation from assembly. Yeah, so we have SOAP out request where you will be calling web service. So you will be seeing that, and reporting as a service. So input to the data from tenant can be extracted using a web service, or using I mean, you can invoke a report from your Studio. You can invoke a core connector from a Studio. So based on your need, you can design, or you can decide on what's your database, I mean data source. It can be a report, it can be a core connector, or you can use a web service to get the data from the tenant. So next thing will be store component. If you want to store some files to the integration, in the integration event, so you can use the store component. And the delivery service. So like in core connector, you can deliver your output file to your third-party endpoint, or you can attach it as a general attachment to the integration event. And then we will see about consolidated report viewer. And yes, so again, RAS with launch parameters. Say there is a input file. I'm going to read this input file using the Studio, and then sorry, I need to get some information from the tenant using a report. So in that case, I can pass the employee ID, or pass some other basic filtering condition to the report, and then I can retrieve the data based on that. So this is one of those RAS with the launch parameter. So you will be launching that report with the data that you have it on the input file. Say employee ID, say company. You can launch the report with those parameters like employee ID and company. You can retrieve those employees, and then you can use the data. You can process the data. You can you can evaluate the data. You can process the data, and then you can input the data into the tenant. And we have sub assemblies, and the splitters and the aggregators. So splitters are used to so when a whole file comes, right? So you can't process the whole file. You have to read the file, you have to copy the file into Workday, and then Workday Studio, and then you have to process each employee, employee by employee. So splitters are the ones who will be which will be used to split row by row. So when the file comes, you will be copying it, reading it, and then you will be splitting employee by employee, and then you will be processing each employee. You will be taking action on each employee. So splitters are the one will do the job for you here. So aggregators, again, splitter is on one end and aggregator will be on the other end. So aggregator is to collate all the individual objects. Say you are processing each employee, and aggregators, you can use it on the other end and collect all the employees, and you can write it to on another file. So yeah, these are like two opposite ends. And Workday in transport service, yeah, again, delivered service, and integration attributes, map, sequence generator. These can be, these are the same as what we do in core connectors, so we can do the same in Studio. So MVL, I just now told you about evaluation, right? So whatever the condition, whatever the check you want to make, you will be using, you will be doing that using this MVL component. So using parameters in XSLT, again, you can in Studio, you can transform your data like we do in Core Connector using XSLT. There is a component available for that. And route component. So so you will be the flow will be like this. You will be checking the data. You will be checking how valid it is, and then you if there is some business process decision or a business decision had to be made, you can make that using route component. Say for example, I'm giving say when the company is A, then process take this route. Say my company is B, take this route. So the routes will have different components and different processing methodology. So based on your business need, you can take different routes, and in different routes there will be different components and different processing logic, and end of it you will be receiving a different type of output. Yeah, about error handling, we have different types of error handling. You can have a local error handler, and then you can have a global error handler, and then you can have your own error handling logic. Error handling is very powerful in Studio, like what we have in Java. So this is one of the what to say, it is kind of tricky, but then it's the most efficient error handling thing that we can do in Studio. Because we will be doing a lot of evaluations, lot of processing. So each step the error should be handled, otherwise it will affect the um, studio program integrations output. Actually, if you don't properly error properly, it will abort your integration, which means that your file won't be processed. So for each employee, the error should be handled properly, right? And retrieval service. So retrieval service, like we do in EIB and Core Connector, if you want to retrieve any file from a third-party endpoint, you can do that. In Studio debugging, yeah, we have a Studio debugging tool, internal tool, which we can use to debug our Studio. And yeah, they have this dot DART integration as well. So we have something called DA review in Workday, which will check for all, whether the integration that you have developed is in line with Workday's specifications. So normally for other core connectors and VIBs, DA review will happen, but for Studio there is no DA review. So we can leverage the I mean, this we can leverage the use of the benefits of Dart. So Dart, if you run it on your integration, it will give you all the errors, and also it will give you what are the modification that you can do to improve the performance. So this will be the course content. There are some few repeated things that I have to remove from this, and I may change the flow of it so that it will best suit your need. So this will be our course content, which will be going through in another for another 30 days. Any questions?